Now back to the election campaign and one of the state's most marginal seats, Hasluck. It's unusual to see one Aboriginal candidate contesting a seat, but in Hasluck there's a strong Indigenous voice, with Aboriginal candidates running for the Liberals, the Greens and as an independent. The opposition leader, Tony Abbott, opened Liberal contender Ken Wyatt's campaign office today with great fanfare. Mr Wyatt is locked neck and neck with the sitting Labor MP Sharryn Jackson, who holds the seat by just 0.9%. Nikki Wilson-Smith reports on the race that could make history by putting the first Aboriginal MP into the House of Representatives.
Welcome to the seat of Hasluck, a semi-rural strip along the eastern fringe of Perth. A diverse electorate combining sprawling suburbia with tree change. But in the last week, something has disturbed the peace. And discuss the issues. The race is on to get the swingers on side. It will take just 1,800 people to change their vote for Hasluck to put the first Indigenous Liberal in the House of Representatives.
I think that's a real possibility in Hasluck, and so I think that Ken Wyatt is certainly looking like the person who will take the seat.
Just move on up. Good morning, Ken Wyatt, Liberal candidate for Hasluck. I'm Ken Wyatt, Liberal candidate for Hasluck. Good morning, ladies, how are you? Good morning, I'm Ken Wyatt, Liberal candidate for Hasluck.
Australia will only have a better government if Ken Wyatt is the next member for Hasluck.
Previously, people have understood Aboriginal people to be focused on one party, but this has now changed.
They are, for the most part, more traditional Labor Party supporters, and so if you can attract any of them across to support the Liberal Party, it's a win for the Liberals.
Ken Wyatt is breaking with family tradition. WA's Shadow Treasurer, Labor MP Ben Wyatt, is his nephew, and other family members have sat on the left of the political fence. But the long-time Liberal Party member says he's always had blue blood in his veins.
I suppose if I go back to my youth, I used to trap rabbits and sell them, so there was an enterprising aspect to me.
Ken Wyatt is the Director of Indigenous Health at the WA Health Department and has been a vocal critic of the lack of progress on closing the gap aimed at reducing Indigenous disadvantage. The 57-year-old says his beliefs were born out of a poor childhood as one of 10 children, with his father working on the railway.
My mother was from the stolen generation, so as kids we grew up fairly tough. We lived on hand-me-downs. Part of the reason I worked in a number of jobs was I used those jobs to help put food on the table.
A working-class background which could strike a chord in Hasluck. It's an area dominated by mortgagees, tradespeople and service industries. The middle of this seat is an area of more prosperous small business owners and people who have moved for a tree change. It's a region where almost every voter is a potential swinger, and their views on federal issues, including asylum seekers, are taken very seriously.
I think they should be turned around, sent back.
I look at it as being sad, you know, but if they're peaceful and why not?
It's here in Maida Vale, with its high proportion of swinging voters, that Sharryn Jackson is concentrating her effort.
I think there's some good ideas come from it as well, Sharryn.
Yeah, more money for pensioners?
Well, not necessarily, no. I mean constructive ideas.
And she's got her work cut out for her, countering the Liberal line that Canberra is ripping off West Australians.
The more they can put forward by way of promoting the development of infrastructure in this state, the more they can counterbalance that impression that they're really looking after the eastern states to the detriment of the West.
The former union official has already lost the seat once, and when she regained it at the last election, she needed Greens' preferences to push her over the line. At the moment, she's holding on by a margin of just 0.9%.
You would be lucky to have 20 or 30% of people on either side who are rusted on. There is the vast bulk of electors are genuine swinging electors, and in a sense that's the group that I'm most interested in.
I haven't decided yet. There still seem to be a lot of issues that are swaying.
In a close finish, the votes of the seat's 4,000 Indigenous voters could be crucial, but it remains to be seen to what extent Ken Wyatt's Aboriginality will work in his favour in the wider electorate.
I think for some voters, I think there is still a certain resistance to the idea that Indigenous people can occupy those sorts of positions and do them effectively. I think for others in a more progressive mindset, that they would see it as a real step forward.
And he can't take the Aboriginal vote for granted. 2 other Indigenous candidates are contesting the seat, one running as an independent, the other for the Greens. Glenice Smith is hoping to capitalise on the Greens' record support in the polls.
A lot of people seem to think, well, another Indigenous candidate, they're going to do Indigenous issues. Yes, I am. However, I've been raised, and I still have a lot of direct contact with my adoptive family, and having been raised in both sides of the coin, I feel I can give a more balanced view of what the whole community needs.
Glenice Smith was adopted from a Port Hedland family as a baby and raised in suburban Perth. And she's adamant that she's offering more than just a preference boost for Labor.
The discussion around preference votes is in the hands of the party. However, I'm actually in it to win it, and I'm in it to get the primary votes.
In such a tight contest, the final outcome in Hasluck is anyone's guess. But what's clear is that both major parties still believe it's winnable.
And the redistribution basically sharpened the knife. So for Sharryn Jackson, it was a difficult task. It's become even more difficult.
Look, I'm the underdog. I don't have the federal resources that Sharryn has.
Hasluck's always been a marginal seat, and it'll be a tight and close contest.
If at all one of us succeeds, it'd be great, historically. It's a shame it's taken this long.
Nikki Wilson-Smith with that report.